There's something inherently appealing about a chord progression built around a bass line that walks down the major scale. In the previous lesson, I cited the bridge sections to Hey Jude by the Beatles and Imagine by John Lennon as classic examples of pop songs that follow this kind of descending bass drop. I'd now like to pursue this topic further and cite a few more well-known examples of songs that utilize the same kind of bass drop, but they're also additionally paired with chord inversions, for which a note other than the root, such as a third or fifth, is the lowest note, or in the bass. Let's check it out. The intro and verse progression to the Grateful Dead's Friend of the Devil is a prime example of what I'm talking about here. It's built around a descending G major scale played on acoustic guitar in a sort of picky, strummy, bluegrass flat picking style using these chord shapes. So you have a G, and then you have a G chord over F sharp, and then an E minor, which is really G over an E bass note, and then G over D. And then we go to a C, and a C over a B bass note. The D string is kind of muted with the underside of the middle finger here. And then A minor 7, G. So if you listen to the recording, Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir do a kind of an interesting composite of the two parts. They're both playing very sparsely, and they're not filling it out. They're not doing like a strum. It's like this. The most important thing is the bass note. Get that descending G major scale walking down in a quarter note rhythm. And you can also play it. This is not really how it goes, but I like to play the song. I'll play the D note here on the B string's 3rd fret and play it like. So it's G, G5, and G5 over F sharp, and then C over E, G over D, and then the same thing, C, C over B. I guess you could play, and then A minor, G. Or you can go, if you have two guitars, one can do one can do the other, and it sounds beautiful. And I mentioned the use of inversions, okay? So here's G, that's obviously root position, and then G over F sharp, that's called 3rd inversion, where the 7th of the chord, F sharp, is in the bass. So technically that's G major 7 over F sharp, but you could just call it G over F sharp, and then E minor. You could play E minor like that too. And then G over D, okay, D is the 5th of the chord, that's called 2nd inversion. So you'll see the chord name written G/D, that means a G chord over a D bass note. And then C, C over B, again, that's a 3rd inversion chord where the 7th of C, B is a bass note, and then A minor G. And same thing, we have some 1st inversion chords here. That's where the 3rd is in the bass. That's probably the most common. Right here. C over E. E is the 3rd of C. That would be C. And then we have G over D, 2nd inversion chord with the 5th in the bass. Before I move on, notice the common tones, the convenient use of the open G and B strings here, which all live within G major scale. I'm emphasizing the open G note. It's very pleasing to the ear to hear something change while something remains the same. That's called oblique voice leading. The progression Billy Joel impeccably crafted for the intro and verse sections of his classic song Piano Man is a great example of a progression built around a descending bass line that walks down the C major scale with the use of inverted chords. It's a very elegant classical type progression. Let's check that out. So it's really a piano-driven song, but progression essentially on a guitar, it would be like C and then G over B. That's a 1st inversion chord, G, with the 3rd in the bass. That would be root position G, but he's playing the 3rd in the bass. C, G over B, F over A, another 1st inversion chord with the 3rd in the bass, and then C over G. So we're just going C, G, F, C, or 1, 5, 4, 1. But the bass line is walking down stepwise. So it's By the way, you can also hybrid pick or finger pick if you want to get that piano-like simultaneous note attack. And then you have F, C over E. That's the one chord C with the third in the bass, first inversion. And then this is cool, D7 to G. Now that D7 chord contains an outside note, F sharp, which is not native to the C major scale. This is called a secondary dominant chord. It's a dominant 7 of the 5 chord, G, known in music as the 5 of the 5 chord, or simply the 5 of 5. So we have the 1 chord, the 5 chord in first inversion, the 4 chord in first inversion, the 1 chord again in second inversion with the 5th, and then the 4 chord, and then the 1 chord in first inversion. I can take that bass note up an octave because I'm out of room here. And that's the 5 of 5, known as the secondary dominant. The primary dominant would be G7 in the key of C. And then it continues, C, G over B again, F over A again, C over G, and then F, the 4 chord, and this is pretty cool what Billy does here, F over G. That's kind of neat because you have the 4 chord, F, resolving to C. In classical music, they call that a plagal cadence, 4-1. But the bass note is going 5-1. It's known as an authentic cadence. So, very cool. There's another way to play that. This is actually the way I kind of prefer to do it myself when I'm doing my solo and duo gigs. Is I'll put a capo at the 5th fret, and I'll use this set of voicings to play piano man. I'll use G, get the high C on top. See, it's more chimey, more piano-like, and then D over F sharp, that's a pretty voicing. Use your thumb for that. C over E, and then I have to octave adjust here. Or I can, what I'll do is I'll double that D note as a safety measure because I don't want to hit the A string, so I'll go. And then make sure you kill that low E string. It's one thing I tell my students all the time is when you're going from a chord that has the low E string, the open low E string, and you're going to a chord that has one of the other strings as a bass note, you got to stop that. You can't let it ring into the next chord. Then we have C, G over B, and then here's our secondary dominant, A7 to D. Keep in mind, I'm playing this as if I'm in the key of G, but I'm actually in the key of C due to the capo transposition. So there's your descending major scale, walk down, jump up an octave, right? And then we go back to the 1 chord, 5 chord in first inversion, 4 chord in first inversion, 1 chord in second inversion, and then the 4 chord, and then we have that. Before we had the F over G shape, now it's easy. It's just a C over a D bass note. This is the last part. I like that. It rings better. You have more open strings. It makes it more ringy, more festive. Other classic examples of sections of songs include a chord progression built around a descending major scale bass line, are the intro and verse to the beautiful song Forever by the Beach Boys, which is in the key of E flat, the verse and chorus to A Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum in the key of C, the verse to When a Man Loves a Woman, popularized by Percy Sledge, which is in D flat, and also the intro to Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in the key of F. And these are mostly keyboard-oriented ones, but let's walk through them. Okay, Forever, actually it is guitar. We're in a key of E flat, okay, so and then it goes back to E flat again, so we're walking down the E flat major scale. E flat, B flat over D, it's a 5 chord in first inversion, and then C minor 7. This is kind of my preferred voicing for C minor 7, just with the D string muted by the back of the index finger. And then G minor over B flat, A flat like this. Carefully muting the A string. You don't want to hit A in an A flat chord, right? So the pinky is muting the A string. A flat over G. That's a dissonance, right? That's an unsettling sound, but as a passing chord between, as I walk down from A flat to F minor, it's very effective. So absolutely gorgeous. Another way you could play that would be to deploy your capo, 3rd fret. Notice I'm pushing down on the strings here to kind of alleviate that capo weirdness. There you go. I have one of these low tension capos, which really helps on electric guitar. So you could play that same set of changes using cowboy chords. You got C, G over B, A minor 7, and then E minor over G. I like that, instead of just playing G. And I think that is the original chord. F, and then F over E, which is very dissonant, but then it goes to D minor. And again, make sure you mute that ringing low E string. You don't want it lingering to the next chord. Give it a little bump with either hand so you go. Sorry. Yeah, I brought my thumb around, just nudge it, touch it enough to stop it from ringing. And as mentioned, A Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum, Capo 5, it's kind of like what I did with Piano Man earlier, playing it as if it were in the key of G, but it's sounding in the concert key of C, which is the organ key. The song is primarily driven by a nice Hammond organ. You have G and then G over F sharp, which is the 7th in the bass, right? That's a 3rd inversion chord. And then E minor. We're keeping that common tone on top, kind of like we did in Friend of the Devil. And then doing that, you could just go like this. But it's good to double that D note here, lest you accidentally hit the open A string. It kind of ruins it. You're introducing a non-chord tone there, so. We have the 4 chords, C, C over B. You notice I'm including that E note there, relative to the capo, and then A minor. And then it keeps walking down, A minor over G. And the 5 chord, and then this nice walk down where you have the 4, the bass note goes to the 4, but the chord stays on the 5. And then G over B, that's the 1 chord in 1st inversion with the 3rd in the bass, and then our 5 chord, D7, with the 3rd in the bass, F sharp. The whole thing is like this. Cycles around again. Absolutely beautiful. And as mentioned, When a Man Loves a Woman, made famous by Percy Sledge, that's in the key of D flat. I'm not going to use the capo, I'm going to use all bar chords here. It's good to be able to know how to do this with movable shapes, right? So it's D flat, that's the 1 chord, and then A flat over C. There's our walk down, B flat minor, and then D flat over A flat. And then G flat, 4 chord, A flat, 5 chord, 1, turn around on a 5 again. So it's. So we're actually only using the chords D flat and A flat, and then there is 1 B flat minor, but the rest of it is just D flat, G flat, A flat, D flat. You could play that in like a 50s 12/8 type of feel like this. All right, very nice. Get that old style groove. And then finally, the intro to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Sir Elton John, one of my favorite composers. In the key of F, and then here's our walk down. We got F, the 1 chord, C over E, D minor, C, B flat, C, F. Want to get more the pianistic type of attack? Attack the notes all together. I'm actually running out of fingers there. I'll do a finger style. So I hope you've enjoyed this little lesson on classic songwriting techniques using a bass line that descends a major scale. I know these are kind of oldie examples, but they're great. You know, they serve as role models for writing new songs. So have at it. Good luck.